Hello and welcome to African Voices platform. My name is Chiwe Chihana. Today I'm really excited to have a true agent of change on the couch with us, Councillor Safiya Saeed, who is a passionate community leader and an inspiring force behind the amazing Reach Up Youth. Safiya has dedicated herself to empowering young people and driving forward transformative initiatives in our city. She is also the Deputy Mayor of Sheffield. Welcome, Safiya. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me today.
It's an honor. It really is an honor to have you. Thank you.
Much.
Safiya, very first things first. Your journey is amazing, but a lot of people probably do not know it, and some of us have heard it. So I wondered whether you could share a little bit about your journey, what inspired you to step into public service, and how your journey began here in Sheffield as well.
So my journey began here through the having children and trying to bring young children into the education system. And then I used to be really passionate to be involved in everything that they do at school. So slowly, I started, obviously, as a single mom of 3 children, I had to take them to breakfast club, and then I realized that there's many of the mothers over there did not speak any English, and they were a little bit having a difficulty of understanding about trips and opportunities and how they could really support their children. So I started talking to them on the gates, and then the school asked me if I wanted to start a coffee morning for the mums, and we can have that. So becoming the first governor for the primary school of the children. So I signed up for that, and then I realized the power of language at that moment, and then decided to really just after school stand at the school gate with my children, and whatever chit-chatting or whatever issues that we have, we bring it to the coffee morning. And then from that I had 2 more children, so I ended up having 5 children. And as I was always trying to get involved in their schools and secondary school as well as the primary school, they split it. I realized that there is a lack of representation in the community for parents or moms that need to go forward. And then a position came into the politics, which I don't know much about politics, but I do know the good side of the politics, which is driven by the community and how it embraced our refugee families, especially for my refugee family, as well as myself. And then I just saw the positivity about changing, how voices can change places and spaces. So the community asked me if I want to go forward in becoming a local councillor, and it worked out because it was the area that I was from.
Right.
And it went from there.
Right. That's really interesting. So literally just speaking outside the school, that's quite powerful, like I've not really thought about that. Just talking to other mothers outside the school gates. And next thing you know, you've become a governor of the school.
Yeah, you started volunteering. It was the most powerful thing that, the volunteers and the way that the school wants to welcome the parents and the parents wants to be around. It's just that it was just different priorities. That's where they were bumping heads. And I think the school needed to lower their gate of a bit down, and the parents needed to really raise their awareness, so they could all just work together for the sake of that child.
Do you know, as a child, is that something you remember yourself doing, like stepping up and speaking up?
Yes, since I was young. Since I was younger, my dad thought I knew I had a mouth on me, to be honest. In a positive way, I used to stand up and fight against bullies, and I used to be very, very small and tiny. But yeah, I was very black and white, to be honest. And it's either that or that. I don't really have that kind of. So my dad taught me, you need to look at the grey side of meet the people in the middle always, so otherwise I'll end up having blood pressure at a very young age. So I realized that, there's no point of you shouting out what people do not consume. So it's just about power of how you can become better diplomatic and try to calm everybody down and everything around you, so people can work together instead of just it's us against them.
Right. Thank you. What came first, Reach Up Youth or Councillor Saeed?
Reach Up Youth.
Reach Up Youth. So the child in you that you're just talking about, is that the child who would have inspired you to get involved with Reach Up Youth? Actually, what is the story of Reach Up Youth?
I think Reach Up Youth, I just thought that there was a lot of violence at Burngreave, a lot of antisocial behaviour. There was a very lack of services, I think, accessing, or me being aware that there is a lack of service accessing. It was just, there was no improvement at all. There was no spice in the area, and a lot of negativity and stereotyping and really negative media coverage. And then my children decided to grow up. And then my son decided to go to secondary school. And I thought, well, how am I supposed to, I can look after my 4 daughters and become a mentor for them, but who becomes a mentor for that son or somebody else's son? Yeah. So I created I worked with Catherine Mudge in sports, Yorkshire Sports, as a community development and active Burngreave project. And it was the first time that's 2016, but 2013 when I started, I just thought, look, just start. Yeah. And that's why I always say to people, stop talking.
Just start.
You don't need a plan.
Just do it.
Just start anything, anywhere.
Right.
So I borrowed somebody's office at Verdon Centre, and I just got whoever I wanted was listening to do some training. Did I know how to train?
So the whoever you want, you so the whoever being young people.
Young people, yeah.
Young
people, starting with my daughters, young people.
Right.
It was the girls first, and it was like let's do scenarios, let's see what to prioritize is, like what is the most important thing for you? And then, making fun pages like, clouds and, each raindrop, what does that represent to you and stuff like that. So once we do that, I was very good at drama. So it's like, let's just do some scenarios and monologues. And then it moved on into, that's when after 2 years, I thought, no, I'm going to just do my own advice shop. So I opened up an advice shop, got myself a second-hand table, a big chair, and a printer. And I said, right, £2.50, whoever wants me to read a letter for them, or
read the letter.
or ring, child tax credit for you, whatever. After that, I just couldn't charge a woman that did not have any money for 6 months. So I did that for free services. I was paying like £800 a rent, and I was like £250 a month, and £250 a month I was paying for that space. And I was like, I couldn't be happier not to work for anyone, and just work for myself.
And that was still on Verdon Street? Or
no, that was on Dawkins Street, just like a little bit down the road. And then a woman I met, and I met a man, and he bought me lots of young 14-year-old and said, these lot, if you don't start with something with them, they're going to go into the streets. And I was like, well, what do I know about football? Yeah. I said, but I know how to have a conversation with them. So I sat down and I said, what is it that you're looking for? Majority of the young people, they already know what they want. You just have to push that through and say, you're allowed to ask for things. They just wanted T-shirts with their names on, and somebody that could pay for a pit. I knew somebody that knew somebody. Wow. That's when I met Catherine Mudge, and I said, look, I don't know you, but these kids are really in trouble. And because she was... And
Catherine Mudge was in sports?
It was in the Yorkshire Sports Foundation. Yeah. She was one of the managers, and she said to me, leave it to me. I know what to do. She got me some people. They paid for the pit. We designed T-shirts for them. 14 boys were happy. And I said, that's what I want to do. Now I know how to mentor my young child, my son. And now I know what to do. We did events and everything, and I've learned a lot. So she said, do you want a part-time job? And I said, I haven't worked for 20 years. Then she said, I'll give you a job if you can come and help me out.
Wait, you hadn't worked for 20 years?
I haven't worked. I've always been a mum. Yeah.
Oh, you were a mum. That's a job.
And I work for myself.
That's a job, Safiya. Being a mum is a job, right? Okay.
Mom.
Okay.
And I had a hair salon. So I've never worked for someone, so it's never been a job for me. It's always been a lifestyle. It's a choice. It's something that I enjoy. So she said to me, no, the structure of a job I didn't have. So she said, I know what to do. She put me through training, became a community development worker for Burngreave, delivered 6 months ahead of time. And we worked with British Airways, we worked with Comic Relief, we worked with Sports of England, She showed me how to showcase. It was amazing.
Wow. And so you were a community development worker from that moment
From
on.
that moment.
And was that for Reach Up Youth? Or
No, that was for that Reach Up Youth. I had to put it in the back burner for now. I didn't have much skills. So I said to her, 4 o'clock in the morning, guess what? I've got a project called Big Brother. Can I introduce it to you? Would you help me out funding it? She funded it 2017, January. Never stopped.
Wow.
Yeah, never stopped. That's when I ended up having Abdul Malik, Sahel, and Tess. Those 3 boys, I said, I've tested, now that you worked with me through volunteering, I've got an idea for you. And if you believe in me, I don't have much. I don't know what I'm doing. But if you believe in me, you'll never look back. And they, hands down, gave them chicken panini that day. I remember, and they are now one of the largest 3 boys, the biggest platformers, and they are managers and working and going to uni and have children, and they're doing amazing.
Yeah, I should say I have worked with your son in a different capacity, and I have seen how amazing he is because we're working on a leadership program, and he's one of the young people that actually participated in that. And your daughter as well, they're just stewarding all that. I'm like, we can see where you come from. So there's been more stuff that's happened. Since then, we know you Reach Up Youth, we know you as a counsellor, but you've also had homelessness work.
Yes.
Where is that coming from?
I got a call from the council and said that there's a special visit being visited, and talked it through for about a few months and everything like that, not knowing who it was. And then she just, I think a couple of, maybe 2 weeks before, I signed a document of privacy, and it was, there's a new project from Royal Foundation called Homewards, and it was to launch in Sheffield. They were launching in 6 cities, and Sheffield was one of them, and they asked us, as in like Reach Up Youth, to help them launch the homelessness project from His Highness Prince William. And it was such an honour, and obviously the football player Tyrone Higgins, and I was like completely in shock, and
you must have been,
and overwhelmed, of course. And it was like one of those, like, we'll take it, you sure? You sure? Yeah, it was like, and we were involved, and then they put the program, they worked around us, can I just say. They're very, very accommodating people. And and he came to visit, and we showcased 30 young people that day. And 20 boys, 10 girls. They do arts and crafts and basketball, and we got the show on the road, and now we are partnership. We're working partnership.
So you Reach Up Youth is growing in that homeward direction.
Absolutely,
now.
absolutely, yes.
Right.
Really, really good. And we are we're going to be delivering homelessness, or even people that been sectioned with Section 21, or people that been having that landlord conversation with their tenants. We will be getting a support worker soon.
Okay, so just in case people don't know what Section 21 is, a bit like me, what is Section 21?
Oh, it's when your landlord, I think the government have stopped it, but it's when your landlord gives you 28 days to leave. And you've got nowhere to go. You've got children, and maybe because they want to repair or whatever their excuse is. But I think but we want also to support the landlords and make sure that they understand what their rights are, as well as before they bring a tenant in, to work in fairness and everything like that. But we will be having somebody from a legal perspective to advisor to be based at Verdon full time. So we will be getting the job prescription out soon.
Oh, right. Okay. No, I had no clue that's the direction. And then what Homeward was doing, I just saw Homeward, and then so that's
the Royal Foundation's been really, really fair. They've been making sure that the young people are being represented, and Reach Up did not lose their identity, because I was like, we will be going through the homelessness. We do prevention of the homelessness. We don't actually do that, but with the partnership that we're working with, the agencies that are surviving are providing that kind of thing. But from our perspective, it's about, we don't want it to get that far.
Okay. So how does your work now, when it comes to homelessness, you're already thinking, the council has a role in this, and
100%.
So how do your existences in your multiple ways manifest themselves in the way of you being a councillor? How does that link in?
I think what it is that if I separate this and this and this and this, I'll get a headache. and a split personality. What I do is that I put everything into one pool. You are who you are.
Yeah.
And what you deliver, your work ethics and what you deliver, as in like what you understand and what you could fight for, should be all one.
Right.
It should all be one, which is anybody who's vulnerable, or any community or family that is vulnerable, you should always stand up for them. Whether you're a councillor, whether you're a deputy Lord Mayor, whether you're Safiya, it doesn't matter. The whole thing, it's about making sure that nothing should be touching your community, but also educating your community to come forward and to, take a pride of accountability themselves and say, don't drop that litter, don't put graffiti on, come and get involved, come and help, come and volunteer. That's as a community
so
responsible. So
really there's
as well.
a coherence in what you do, like there's a coherent string there, thread there that enables you to do that. I like the sound of that. That's very amazing. So as Deputy Lord Mayor of Sheffield, what has that journey been like, and how do you actually get to be a deputy? How do you get to be a deputy mayor? Actually?
I think in every year, when you get voted back in, or or there's an election, the council or the parties shift. Whether they shift power or whether everything comes back to negotiation table, and you have to write down your interest. What do you want to go for? So I applied, and said I want to be that, or I wanted this, or I want, the options that I want, why I want to do it. And for me, it was a very personal thing for me. It was like, okay, we if you're going to put a slogan out there, you better back it.
Yeah.
If you're saying we're an anti-racist city, you better back it. So, and for that, it's like, I don't want to be a Lord Mayor for a token sake, but I do want to be Lord Mayor because, Deputy Lord Mayor or a Lord Mayor, because I want to show Sheffield can take a chance of, that leap. And it's not like I'm the first black. There's been loads, it was like, I think 3 examples before me.
Well, in Sheffield, we had Majid.
We had Majid, and we had Talib, and we had, another 2 more. So it was not like me, but I am the first female.
Have we had female black?
No, I am the first female.
Okay.
So I was like,
so just
I will
to put it there,
yeah,
the chances of you becoming the mayor, you are becoming the mayor officially?
The chances of becoming the mayor is, it's hopefully, we get voted back. We get voted in, because on that AGM, you get voted in, and you've got to have that fire into why you want to do it. And I think for me, everybody that underestimated, a female.
If I didn't already have this lapel, I would have gone like, why do you want to become mayor?
Yes, you want to become, because it's like, you've got to understand that this is our city.
Yeah.
And I am a divorcee, I have a single mom, I struggled with 5 children, I struggled with getting some sort of a job or a skill to get where you are. I get stereotyped a lot. I'm a woman with, I'm a Muslim woman, I wear a scarf, and there's already a lot of no before I even get to where I am.
Yeah.
And I am a vocal person, as somebody who is very, very verbal, and make sure that I work really hard in order for me to represent who put me in this position in the first place. So potentially, I want to make sure that putting that message out there that being a Lord Mayor is accessible.
Wow.
Accessible, in any means necessary. That's what we want to do. And we want to make sure that you sit on that chair, you also have to honor it, and you also have to do. So for me, years ago, I've been handed neutralization. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I became a British, I was handed that neutralization. Today, I'm in a position of handing that neutralization. That's as simple example. So I don't take if Lord Mayor is my destiny, I will never take that as advantage. But for me to lift myself up into that platform and lifting my family name into that platform and my children into that platform, I will carry my community with me, and I will carry my city with me. I've been handed a lot of awards, but Yorkshire Choice Award was the one nearest to me. Because at the end of the day, we leave our country just to have that belonging and acceptance.
Yeah.
And I want to be accepted. I do want to be a Lord Mayor, but I also want to be accepted as a Lord Mayor. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's just another part of yourself and another ticking box for my soul for me to say I've achieved that. You know,
Yeah.
but I can't do it on my own. If I didn't have work, I didn't have my Reach Up youth, I didn't have my boys, I didn't have my sisterhood girls, and I didn't have my big brothers, and didn't have my, the prayers of my mom. You know, I would never as achieved. But at the end of the day, you've got to be really true to yourself. People can see through you if you don't.
And this is it. This is quite powerful. I totally agree with you. I mean, this idea that I have achieved. I'm here. I belong.
Yeah.
You know, it cements your identity in one way, but also it's cementing the identity of those who are growing up and looking up to somebody like you that would have thought, I can't be this person. Especially that little girl who was you, I guess, in Bengrave. I bet you didn't see anyone that could have inspired you to be where you
Except,
are now.
the nearest, I think, example say, oh, this person example. It's from people like, when I was growing up, it's Oprah Winfrey. But she was very far-fetched from where I am.
Yeah.
She's very far-fetched. If I become a good example for my daughters, I can become a good example to any daughters. And it depends on what people look for. But my message is, you can't be like this from a day and night. You've got to work hard. And you've got to knock on many doors for you to get somewhere. Nobody does it alone. I've never been here alone. It's never. There's no such thing as I've done it on my own.
There's a village.
It takes a village.
Community.
Yeah, and we want to be a part of that village and create a better one.
You're doing so much work around that. So it's said a lot that the Lord Mayor role it's very much like a ceremonial role. But do you see an opportunity for you to actually do something that you'd, apart from, I think that sealing of identity is really good, but what else do you envision for the city of Sheffield, for example? What would you like to do in that role?
I think for me, it will be a lot of networking. I get a lot of approach of, Safiya, do you know how we can get into that community? We've got a lot to give. Or do you know how I can get this person? They're not returning their email to me, or I feel there's sometimes the city gets a lot. This is doing a great work. This is doing a great work, but it's very disconnected. So for me, my theme would be networking, just putting everybody this, a certain theme, and then put them all in one room and say, talk.
Right.
They want to invest, they want to take. Put them all in one room. There's a lot of conversations I hear on this side. There's a lot of conversation I hear on this side. I just want to bring those conversations together
that you create with
that.
Yeah.
And also creating I was saying to a lot of tunnel of communication between people. Action, there's some really, really good people that are doing amazing, actually, and really, really good work. But if we don't have the support, they will stop soon. They'll collapse soon. Wow. People are getting tired, and I want to make sure that, there's the city's vibrant, or give them their tools and opportunity and the platform of them continue that light within themselves. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, I'm sensing a bit into that, but into that fear of collapse. Is there something you could point out to me, like, Chiwe, have a look at this. This is looking vulnerable at this point, that we could probably just spotlight?
I think right now, recently, we've been supporting a lot of parents with children with special needs children. And I think in our area there isn't a space for them to play. We don't have a sort of a center or a room for them full of sensory that they need. Right. Parents are really tired. Mothers are getting exhausted. Parents are getting exhausted. Their siblings have to take care of this particular child. Everyone's just surrounding around that child. But you need that kind of somewhere where you could say, can I leave my child, or can I come? So I do healthy holidays sometimes, and it doesn't matter if we take them to the seaside or bowling, whatever, they still need a sensory area. More parks needs to have a sensory area. Right. Open spaces. Our centre is Verdant Centre. We don't have a sensory area. It's the most uncensored space you can have. And so that kind of community needs to really make sure that they have that kind of, so we can stay together. We need a healthy residence, really, don't we?
We definitely do. You were talking about the networking thing you want to bring a lot of, I think, opportunities for different people from different needs and qualifications to meet up and have access to each other and speak, right? One of the things you did recently is you went to Denmark.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could talk a bit more about that and what that experience was, because I think you said it will enable you to even do that better.
Yes, yes. I was really worried about how do I facilitate, because not only bringing people together, it's about bringing sometimes decision makers together and say, you know, when you're making decisions in terms of health or well-being or budget, or whatever you want to do, these are the stories that you really need to be listening to, you know, because whatever you decide can uplift or damage certain individuals that you're not aware of. So Denmark, I had a fantastic colleague called Helen Sims, and Helen steers at Voluntary Action Services, and I said, my cup is getting a little bit empty and I need some sort of aspiration. I want to end up being, you know, after, you got to think about what happens after being a politician. And then I'm very good at facilitation, but I still need a lot of methodology of what this is about. She said, oh, we're off to Denmark for art of host, how you could host yourself and then host others and then host each other. And I was like, oh, sounds good. I'll invest in myself. Yeah, she's organized everything. We ended up going to a place called, I think, Rue, R-Y. I just called it Rye, kept on calling it Rye.
Idea.
Shouldn't I? Yeah, middle of a farm or middle of greenery. It was just so beautiful. First of all, Danish people are tall.
Yeah.
Lord, they are tall.
Taller than the Sudanese.
Taller
than the Sudanese. Have you seen Sudanese people?
Yes,
but they're very tall.
Very tall. Very tall. I was like, how tall are you? She was 6'3". I was like, ooh. So yeah, very tall people. It's just very in touch with their vulnerability. We met fantastic. I can't even list you the names that we met. And we did it was like an abandoned, apparently it was an abandoned boarding school, and then the lady sort of revamped it to such a natural peace. I've never met so much peace. It was really out of my comfort zone. I'm used to city life, you know, and lights and, you know, wrong parking. Bad parking. Yeah. So we went there, and I thought, okay, switched off, obviously, told the family, no one called me at all, I'm not picking up, and just stayed with, you know, so much woods and forest, and everything in the house was, you know, it was just 16 buildings, and there was a main house, and you know, session starts at 8:30 in the morning, and breakfast, and I've never had so much vegetables in my life. I was dying for chicken, I'm telling you. And then it was really, really good. It was amazing, honestly. It was like a dining hall inside of another dining hall, sunroom, fireplaces, fire pits. It was just amazing. Right. But it was 60 people there from Bangladesh, people from Vietnam. It was amazing. I met a beautiful lady from Gaza who is an AI lecturer for a German university based in Dubai, and we were discussing obviously what's going on, and everyone just bonded. We were like 60 scattered people. Fourth day, we were
bonded.
We were family, and it was just a lot of peeling your vulnerability off, storytelling, a really active listener, and then harvesting what you've listened. When did your story shifted, and then listen out. It was amazing, and hosting it, and it's just daunting. It's just penny dropped. It was such a good methodology, one after another. People were vulnerable. People were crying. People were telling us the you know, in smaller groups, of course, but the way that we sort of, it was like a peanut butter sandwich. Honestly, everybody just laid on each other's trauma to pick each other up, you know, just so we could lift each other up. And it was comedy as well. We danced together, laughed together, ate together.
Are you hosting the next one in Sheffield?
Oh, I mean,
that would up the ante with,
you know, when you go to somewhere and you're just full of so much idea, and you walk out, you're like empty. But I came back, honestly, I came back refreshed, ready to love. Ready, you just feel, my cup was so full, it was overflowing. I just felt in peace and inspired, and I was like saying to the young people, I can't wait to transform whatever. I just need to transfer everything I've learned to you, and I loved it.
You
Really
loved
loved
it.
it.
Yeah. Well, we're looking for. I'm going to assume because we're probably the first interview you've had since you came back because we actually secured this interview whilst you were there. So
Yeah.
the love is here, right?
Yeah,
You
love is
brought it.
here first. I bought it with you.
You brought it. And then the young people. How do you suppose you're looking to expand on the success you've had with Reach Up Youth? Because I mean, you and everyone else you work with have done an amazing job. What's the next level with that?
I think next level is pushing it back to the young people and say, run it, you run it now, because they're the ones that run it from the day one. But it's, I've got fantastic ambassadors. I've got Rafiq, Abdul Malik Talib, and Abdul Malik, and I've got we call it T Malik all the time. And I've got...
You call it what?
T Malik, Abdul Malik, T Malik.
Oh, T Malik.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what all T Maliks.
Yeah.
Tyrone, Sahel, Tess, another 3 leaders, Umar and Sami and Mohammed. And we're potentially getting these champions soon, to be honest. And then the sisterhood leaders, we've got Aisha, we've got Salwa, and we've got Suraya. And I can't tell you how much they're all grown and finding their own ways and pathways. But really, this is their baby. So they're the ones that worked hard on it. They're the ones that make a lot of decision maker. For me, I just do the structural work, from the back to bring the contracts in, or maybe just to say this is how much allowed, because the young people are very scared to spread their wings.
Yeah.
So you've got to make sure that they spread it as much as they can, and then keep on spreading it. But you've got to constantly watch their surroundings, so when they're ready to fly, they're quite safe.
Wow.
But when you just say, go fly, with no direction, no protection, nothing, because if somebody upsets me, and I try to protect them from this toxic world, so I just make sure that they, young people, when you first try to mentor them, they have this hesitation.
Okay.
And they go, I'm talking, am I loud enough? They're always constantly, as a strong mentor, people, they always will ask, like, how far do you want me to go? Am I allowed to go that way? And you got this untold conversation with, like, literally, my ambassadors and the 3 leaders, I can talk to them without talking to them. Does that make sense? We have got this, we've got this silence agreement when we're all together.
Yeah.
By their physical, when they sit back, or you could just tell when they're nervous, when they're not nervous, when they're okay. But they could equally tell me if I don't like that interviewer, or if I don't want them to if they feel agitated or something like that. You could just tell.
Yeah.
So they can also tell. So we have got this silent agreement of they've been with me for a long time. You've got to treat young people as family. You can't treat them as a project. You've got to really, really bring them closer to you. And I think that's when you could say it next time. Make sure you say it. And how do you feel? So you've got to constantly filter their emotions and say, because that one person will say to you, one young person will say, everybody didn't like me. I'm like, who's everybody? And then they'll end up saying one name.
Yeah,
so sometimes, but it's not about them being over dramatic. I think it's because they don't know how to express properly. Yeah. And you just have to really tone it down and filter for them, and really, really put things into perspective for them, and then they feel a bit more strength and say, next time I panic, this is how I'm going to think. And eventually, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th time, they will eventually learn to cope better. Yeah. And I think that you constantly have to treat them as a family. You can't treat them as a project or a stranger. Like they clock off at 5.
They know what the young people constantly know what they want.
They
That's
want
the
you.
Thing. They know what they want, and we often, I think.
And if you say, I'm going to open door, I'm an open door, come and check on me. If you need me to check, you've got to be prepared to do that.
Yeah.
I'll have a personal time. I can constantly be available. That's no problem. So, although I'm getting older. But I don't carry the young people. They carry themselves, to be honest. Good. Or the ambassadors will kill them. I can't have a communication with a 14-year-old. I will train the 21-year-old to talk to the 18-year-old, to talk to the 14-year-old. Yeah. That's how it should be. Like I said to you, I just do the structural work. They're the ones that deliver everything.
Yeah. So this work is primarily in Bedgrove, is it?
Yeah. We're
So what would you
citywide, but we prefer
say-
staying in where we are.
Where we are. So what would you say to somebody from another neighborhood who is aspiring to not to replicate essentially, but to do similar work and see that kind of growth? How would they go about it?
Every area is different. Where the mentor, where we've got a very good mentor. You know, we didn't have the structure and all this stuff, and what we had was an A, B, and C. You know, if you do that, this will this fill the cup. If this we do that, then fill this other cup. If you want to replicate, you should never
not replicate. Maybe
have the same outline.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you do, I think you should just start. Like I said to you, just need to start. You know, I started in my living room. Those 3 young people, I used to train them in my living room. We said, look, this is what's going to happen on Saturday. What do you guys think? Right, let's think about this is how you're going to... So when they come on Saturday, they're all prepared. They know exactly how to run the session, whose guest is coming, what time it is, what we're going to do, what are the questions we're going to ask. So it's about preparing them. And I did that in my living room. So I didn't really need to hold an office. And
you just started.
Doing a takeaway. And they did a lot of sacrifice as well. They wouldn't pick up any jobs on Saturdays. They made sure that every Saturday, the past 10 years, they were available because they wouldn't pick up a shift. So it was we meet halfway. That's what it's about. So if you're living, let's say you're living in Sharrow or wherever you want to live on, you just start on a court, on the courts, start on a football field, start on a outside shop corner, whatever you want to do. You just start.
Good stuff.
That's it. And people will, you know where it is, a lot of people come to me, they go, I want to start this, but then I'm not getting funding, but I'm not getting this. And I'm like,
just
brother,
start.
You haven't even started yet. Start, build it and they shall come. Build it, just go, just start, you know?
Yeah, you know that I liked this idea you put in my head about young people, and you're kind of there a little bit, you open up. As a counsellor, I'm imagining that you've had your moments as well where you haven't just been a butterfly and flying. You've had your moments where...
Yeah.
What are some of those moments, and how would you...
Well, like I said to you, nobody does things alone. So the way I mentor, I've always been mentored. I watch who mentors me, and I choose my mentor because I'm mature enough to do that, really. Yeah. And they're the ones that taught me that, this is what you legally should be doing. This is what you shouldn't be answering. There's a lot of help around. If you just say help, you'd be amazed.
Put your hand up.
Protection you can ask for. And at the beginning of my counsel, I just followed and listened a lot. And that's when you could tell a bad example and a good example of who you want to be. And you've got to ask questions and push back and say, well, why? Yeah, but that's quite... I'm a very simplicity. I don't like complication. That is upset with that. That is upsetting you. Is there somebody that's responsible for this? Get that person to sort it out. That's it. Simple as that. I'm not very much of an emailer, so I'm more of a face-to-face kind of...
Let's get it done.
Let's get this done. Yeah, because this is people's lives. And so... you're like, but what's the complication? You're like, oh, well, that person, or they didn't come back to you, or they're going to come back to you. But it's just a lot of them. It's like, it's easier to put everybody in one room and just say, right, where did it go wrong? And say, I'm sorry, can we start again? And, because you shouldn't have that much repairs in your house and no one's picking up that case, or a child's being kicked out of school. Then you're like, okay, let's go and look at the evidence, find out what's happening. But then I can't do it. Let me introduce you to somebody else that can do it. So there's a lot of signposting as a counsellor. You just have to, but you have to create things. So on Tuesdays we created health and well-being, with the primary network. You'd be amazed how many people want to help your community. You just need to ask them.
Yes, I know.
I think the challenge is sometimes that you as a black woman, you just with the hijab, you don't look the type. So when you go to certain places, you've got to get your badge out and say, I'm a counsellor. And then people sort of change differently. People, when I say I'm a deputy Lord Mayor, people change. Some people, when you're in their space and you say, I'm actually going to be the Lord Mayor next year, and they're like, oh, you could just see it means it's just something about the energy changes, and they're more welcoming. They are genuine people that will just love you the way you are, and whatever you are, they just want to be with you, you know, that's fine. But yeah, sometimes power recognizes power, I guess. That's a sad,
game recognizes game.
Gamer. And you're like, ugh.
Game recognizes game.
Yeah.
Biggest challenge so far, and how did you overcome it?
Biggest challenges so far, I think preparing myself to the next level. I think that's the biggest challenge so far. And another biggest challenge so far is sustainability. For Reach Up Youth was quite harsh. It's sustainable. It's like, how do you provide? For me, I believe in the people that volunteer with you should be the first ones to be employed. If they have the skills, you know, they've been with you through thick and thin. They need to be around you. But unless you have a future, you can't really promise anybody anything. And that's the biggest challenges. Haven't come over it so far, but you know, we'll be soon, hopefully. But yeah, sustainability, just like we're vulnerable, just like everybody else in the city.
Absolutely. I think the program that I was talking to, I mentioned where your son and your daughter are participating in, again, came out as a result of identifying that in Sheffield, a lot of community-based organizations, we have the legacy leaders, you know, most of them are starting to say, I need somebody else to come over, but we're not having a lot of young people taking interest in some of these projects, and that's a sustainability factor that you're talking about.
Sustainability, I think, just like everybody, I think when the whole city, you know, hopefully we get a lot of investors in the young people, hopefully we'll get there. But in the meantime, we're not down, and we need to carry on. With or without any sustainability, we become sustainable with our and how much we volunteer, and we will carry on regardless.
I was going to start winding down, but then there's something I wanted to ask you about that's been very interesting. So this year, I like the culture space, right? Arts and culture space. We saw the activation of the culture strategy, and I've seen you at some of those events. How is that playing out for you? And you know, like with the young people you're working out, is that something that's relatable? Is it something distant? Is it just a city thing?
Culture, I'll be honest, culture strategy, I was there from the beginning. The strategy seems really, really interesting. And the city needed it. That's the reality. City didn't have one, we needed one. The good thing about the team that is running it are very good listeners. So that's the first one. There are a lot of struggles in representation. That's the community needs to know more. And I think we need to push the community ourselves, the ones that know about it, need to push the community into, you know, into developing the strategy, because everything continue to develop. Even if they launched it, there's still holes.
It's the doing as well.
It's the doing as well. However, we need to know, if I say to a 19-year-old, you need to be involved in that, what does that 19-year-old get out of it? Why do you want to discuss something out of a discussion? Makes no sense. Innit? So what we would need to know is whatever strategy...
Like, how many tables have you had to sit at to talk about this?
Whatever strategy this city does, we need to know. Like, for example, I really love City of Goals. I like it.
The city,
yeah. City of Goals, I love it. Why? It's continue. And they listen, and they maneuver, and they listen. And now they're asking us to bring it into the young people. City of Goals is something that we need to go for. That's one. Any strategy that needs
a minute.
Yeah. So any strategy that needs to come to the city, it really needs to know, what do we get out of it after that it's been launched? It shouldn't stop where you are. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Any last words? I'm so grateful for you to come on the couch.
Last words as a community, please, we need more representation. Get on tables that you don't think that you need to get on. Please, we need more politicians in the community to come out and say your words. I can't do it for everyone. You can't do it for everyone. The next person can't do it for everyone. We constantly need young people to sort of put that representation. It is theirs. They are the next generation, and they need to be out there. If they don't know how, we can teach them how, but they really need to reach out, and we need more and more parents pushing their children into every single platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Saeed, current Deputy Mayor of Sheffield City Council, and this is Chiwachana on African Voices platform. Good night.